Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Transfer Portal podcast presented by NoContextCFB. And today, you might see something on your screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this, make sure you watch the YouTube, especially for this episode, but just in general, we release a great amount of content on the YouTube, but we've got a wheel. You know, we did the bracket a few weeks ago. Now we've got a wheel. What's going on, Andrew? And also, by the way, I probably should have said, hey, I'm Andrew Wilson. Alongside me, Andrew and Liam. How are we doing today?
I'm good. And we're letting Liam speak last because he's having somewhat technical difficulties. So when that difficulty comes up, guess what? We're going to have great content for you guys to display, great out-of-context content. But, hey, man, I'm great. I'm living it up right now. Shout out to Poland for getting the win over Sweden, going to the World Cup in Qatar, even though the World Cup should not be in Qatar. But this is a college football podcast, so we're going to keep this college football themed. I'm happy right now. I'm excited. I feel like I've been MIA the last couple of weeks on here, so I'm just happy to be back.
Great to have you back. And Liam, just give us a thumbs up. You can talk if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to spin this ram wheel and see what happens. You know, I'm happy to be here as well.
And hopefully we don't hear the F1 race in the background. So we've got a wheel.
Go Team Red Bull. And we are Team Sergio Perez on this podcast, by the way.
I mean, I don't watch a ton of F1.
I swear to God, if you tell me you're a Lewis Hamilton fan, I'm going to be super mad.
Anyways, back to the college football. We've got a wheel of different topics we're going to be talking about. You know, some may be talking about head coaches, programs, commentators, media. You know, you don't know. You don't know until we spin it. Let's just get it right underway. First spin of the wheel is gonna be, I'm actually glad it landed on this one first because this is one I made. If you could take one player from your arch rival, who are you taking? I assume, Andrew, you want to do Minnesota and I'll do Wisconsin just so we can pass that off.
Are we doing this all time or are we doing this currently?
Let's go current. Let's go current, and you put that player on your team.
I'm going to let you go first because no shade, but, I do need to, think this over a little bit.
Of course. Well,
it ain't going to be Tanner Morgan, by the way.
I mean, it would be an upgrade.
I'm going to optimistic.
Okay, so I'm taking Braylon Allen. I've got 3 reasons for this. Number 1, it makes Wisconsin worse. All right? It makes Wisconsin worse. I get to laugh at them. Then this year, you remember what position he was recruited to play as? He was going to play as
linebacker.
A linebacker. You can move him back to safety. I'm pretty sure they wanted to do that with his weight. So you can play him at either position this year so that Mo Ibrahim takes most of the snaps at running back. Obviously, you can have Braylon Allen, him and Bucky Irving, which would be decent backfield behind Mo Ibrahim. And then next year, when Ibrahim goes to the draft, we've got third-year Braylon Allen, 20-year-old, dominating the Big Ten for the better team, Minnesota. Keeps that run game awesome. Keeps Wisconsin from winning too many football games. Don't have to defend him. Going to be a lot of fun for the Golden Gophers.
So is this my turn now?
Yep.
I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I'm just literally looking at your leading receiving core. Your lead receiver had 506 yards last year. Chris Almond-Bell. I'm probably going to go ahead and just say Dylan Wright because I know he's come back, the former A&M transfer, and I know he really showed out in the first game against Ohio State last year. I know he was pretty highly recruited when he went into A&M originally. So right now, Graham Mertz needs all the help he can get in terms of Wisconsin's receiving game. That's kind of really all I got. But, Dylan Wright, he's a very talented receiver. Chimke DK is really the only viable receiver that Wisconsin has right now. So really anything to help the pass attack, I'd be more than happy to take.
All right, Liam, what you got for UCLA?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy on my behalf. We're going to take Caleb Williams. SC has no quarterback now without Caleb, and we just become significantly better. That was a pretty easy pick.
It's a little bit tougher for the Big Ten West teams, whereas you get to pick from USC. So a little lopsided right there, but we'll get into the next topic.
I will say this: since we're kind of Just so I'm gonna throw UH in there. I'd really like to see Rashee Rice because him and Tank Dell and Rashee Rice, same receiving core. That would just be so fun to watch.
It would. Next up, worst uniform. Talked about this a few weeks ago. Let's revisit. I want to go first. Those orange and green Colorado State uniforms, get the heck out of my life. I wish you never existed. Those are the biggest travesty to human eyeballs all across the country. I don't know what made you think that color combination was good. You're not Miami. It makes no sense. I hope I never see it again, even though I probably will, because it always ends up on Twitter somehow. Please get away from my life.
Slandering Agriculture Day like that is terrible on your behalf.
I love agriculture. It's ugly.
Just not informed on Ag Day at all there. That's crazy.
Hey, you know what? This is about fashion, not agriculture. Gotta love agriculture. The fashion, it sucks.
I guess since I'm going to go here, Michigan, I don't think they've worn it in a really long time. Remember back when Michigan State, they wore those super ugly alternate, the one that had the giant state in the neon green of that was like, who at Nike is allowing this is the first thing. For those that remember, the gator skin Florida uniforms, the one that we thought were a legit joke when they came out, I might get some heat on this. I think North Carolina's teal, it's not teal, but I just think that baby blue on a football field just doesn't seem right as a home color. That's one that I got to go with. I think my number one will forever be the Florida gator skin. No one wants to see a live gator on the field. I mean, Christ above. I mean, listen, Florida's 2021 season was absolutely horrendous. That gator skin uniform is the only thing that's worse than that season.
Going after baby blue on the football field is crazy. You don't really love to hear that.
Even Tulane, I forgot to mention Tulane. I think Tulane does it worse than UNC, to be honest.
You're out.
No, I'm not.
You're not serious.
Yes, I am.
Tulane's okay. Well, I was gonna say
they have a great logo. Like the fighting wave is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Baby blue on them. No,
fantastic. The surfing
they need to stay. They should have stayed with the dark green.
No, the light blue that they do is phenomenal, and they we disagree completely. I completely agree on the Florida Gator skin uniform. I was going to say that, and I thought I'd rather just go with something that's worn every year instead of an alternate. This might be a hot take. Clemson's purple. I am not a fan of Clemson's all purple look. To be honest. Yeah, I don't think it's their best look at all. I think it's by far the worst.
The orange jersey, white pants for them is perfect. It works very well with what they try to do. Whenever you try to go all out with the purple, it's no, it's your third color. Don't screw it up.
It'd be cool if it looked good. I just don't think it looks great, in my opinion. I'm not sure why. It just doesn't really appeal to me.
That's the one where I'm going to disagree. I actually like Clemson's purples. I think the orange and the purple is a very good contrast. You see that beautiful golden mane of Trevor Lawrence coming out with that purple uniform, you're in trouble. So
yeah, guess what? It doesn't really work well today with DJ Uiagalelei. Okay, him wearing that doesn't really get me scared. It really does not.
Yeah, but you know what will scare you? Cade Klubnik. He's a football player.
Shout out Cade Klubnik. I'm surprised he stuck with his decision to go to Clemson. I really wanted to see him stay in state in Texas, but I think Connor Weidman's got him beat in terms of best quarterback in the state.
Yeah, it would be really tough for him to change, especially with the Ewers transfer. So, I mean, right now Clemson's just in a weird spot. I mean, they're still a very good program, but I hope Cade gets his chance. I'm not high on DJ. So we're going to spin this wheel one more time. Also, I forgot to mention those Oregon Duck uniforms with the orange socks. That's awful. It's the closest we've ever gotten to seeing the real life version of mascot mode from NCAA 14. Or was it 14? Yeah, it was all of them. Program you wish had more success. Liam, we'll start with you.
He's too scared of his technical difficulty.
I didn't think we were going to start with that. I thought, okay. Can I choose an FCS school?
Of course.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Youngstown State. I want to see them have more consistent success. I really liked when they were pretty successful, under Tressel and stuff. Obviously, they're in the Bo Pelini era. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's still there. I don't know. I just like to see them have more success. MVFC football is really, really good. High level football in the FCS, and to see Youngstown State compete for, more success in the playoffs, I'd be all for that. And they have one of the best logos in college.
So Bo Pelini is no longer there. He actually left after the 2019 season. Yeah, because he was LSU's defensive coordinator in 2020.
Yeah, my mind doesn't work right now. That's poor out of me, but yeah, I'll go with Youngstown State.
Didn't he have that clip of saying players weren't giving their all or something?
Yeah,
I think
it just sounds like Bo Pelini, to be honest.
Yeah,
I like Youngstown State a lot as a kid. Yeah.
All right, Andrew.
Part of me wants to say TCU. Whenever I think of TCU, like whenever they had the Trevon Boykin days, I remember in 2014 when we were taught first year of the college football playoff, they were number 2 or number 3 they were in top 4 for sure. They went 11-1 the whole season. The one loss was to Baylor, I think it was. They lost that game by only 3 points, and they did not make the playoff that season. They should have made the playoff. They got beat out by Ohio State because they absolutely trashed Wisconsin that Big Ten title game. But whenever I think of TCU, I'm kind of just like, they put up, they used to put up really good seasons from like Andy Dalton days to like mid 2010s. They had a lot of good teams. Baylor's another team that I think is also we kind of wish a lot more on in terms of, we wish that they had more success, because it's really insane to me that Baylor, with the season that they had last year, it was really unsexy the way that they won the Big 12. It wasn't the most fashionable way, but they won the Big 12, they won the Sugar Bowl, and we were told all these things such as this was the biggest win in the school's history, essentially, and this was the most wins ever by a Baylor program. And I kind of still look at it like, we had RG3, we had, the Bryce Petty Baylor teams, which are still like phenomenal, super electric. And those guys didn't even get anywhere near the heights. I mean, they got absolutely thrashed by Michigan State in the Cotton Bowl that one year. So I got to give it to both Baylor and TCU. Whereas I just really wish that like those two teams could have like made a playoff appearance or, somehow make it to a national title game. That just would have been a lot more fun to watch because it's just so much different.
Yeah, those are definitely some good programs. I'm also going to say too, I'm going to say UConn, who are going to be better. We believe in Jim Moore here. And I'm going to go a little off the beaten trail. I'm going to go Wazoo. Remember, good old Gardner Minshew at Wazoo. Remember how fun it was to watch Washington State that year? It was pumping. He got the jorts rocking. And also just having a West Coast team do something. I mean, yes, we expect USC to be a contender in the next year, 2, 3 years. But imagine one of those lower tier West Coast programs decides, you know what? We're going to become a power. Washington State would be fun. I think Cam Ward, heck of a quarterback. I don't think they're going to be amazing this year. I think they have a chance to kind of surprise some people, though. I think they've got the talent. So, and of course, UConn, we don't like seeing teams struggle as much as they did, even though it is sometimes fun to laugh at them. Them in UMass, them in UCF, them in Vanderbilt, not even UCF for losing, but just the UConn UCF rivalry is fun to watch.
Civil conflict.
The civil conflict, of course. Then you've got UConn Vanderbilt. I mean, you could literally get into that game for free. And it was actually an interesting game to watch. People are going to trash it because, those two teams suck.
I will forever give a shout out to UConn plus 11.5 going into that game.
Oh, that was free.
Yes, it was.
Vanderbilt sucks.
SEC. That's what it is. That's what got them that line.
Yeah, it just means more. It just means more points in their favor.
So while we're on this topic, it's not necessarily a question of like which program you wish had more success. I'm going to take it back to like a Twitter question that we posted on the Transfer Portal Twitter page last week, I believe it was. Fill in this blank. College football as a whole is better when blank is better. And I think some of the top answers were Michigan, USC, and I think Texas were in the top 3. Is that something that you feel like you'd agree on that?
It depends on, is Michigan actually good? Because this year you could make the argument they played well, very well against Ohio State. They obviously were able to run all over them, but then they got thrashed by Georgia. Like that game wasn't close. They
but this kind of goes back to what I wrote about last month or like almost 2 months ago in terms of like Michigan. Like, look, Michigan kept it close against Nebraska, but let's be honest, Nebraska kept it close against everybody last season. Yeah. My problem with Michigan, Georgia, and even like Alabama and Cincinnati to an extent was Georgia and Alabama they were just better than everybody else. SEC was the only conference in the Power 5 that the top 2 teams had only one loss. I can't blame the SEC. I think Michigan really was that good. I mean, look, Ohio State's defense couldn't stop Hassan Haskins to save their lives, but it's not like CJ Stroud played a bad game. I mean, his line wasn't doing that bad either. It's not like the wide receivers were underperforming. They were not. I still think Michigan was still the best team in the Big Ten last year. I got zero hesitation in saying that. But I think Michigan. I think a lot of the fun that we had in 2021. We compared it to like 2007. It was that much fun because Michigan was that much better. It's always been Harbaugh's not going to get done. Michigan's never going to beat Ohio State. They did it last year, and I feel like we thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, we'd like to forget about the performance against Georgia, but the product was better when they were better.
Yeah, I think that's something you can take into account. I think it's also I didn't believe in Michigan, especially after the Michigan State loss. I thought, you know what, they beat up on lower competition. Then they beat Ohio State, and it's like, okay, yeah, this team's good. But I'm also thinking, is it better when teams are really good or when teams can actually win the national championship? Because let's be real, the national championship was always going to Alabama or Georgia. There was no chance Cincinnati was going to win it. No chance Michigan was going to win it. Not with Georgia's defensive front. Not with Nick Saban coaching Alabama. There's no way Nick Saban loses to Jim Harbaugh. So if we're talking, is college football better when there's more title contenders than the SEC? Of course. But if we're talking about just programs being better, are we talking about them being better to their standards, or are we talking about Michigan getting SEC talent and SEC coaching? I feel like that's kind of two different discussions we're having.
I mean, okay, let's just say Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams going to USC. Let's say that absolutely puts them over a hump. Let's say it takes them to an 11-1. I know Liam's not liking this, but let's say somehow, some way gets them to an 11-1 record, birth in the Pac-12 title game, and they get into the playoff as like a 4 seed or something like that. Do we think the college football brand itself as a whole is better? Because USC, which we do see as a blue blood, this is a program that produces more first-round NFL picks than any other university in the country. Do we get more excited? Do we like the brand that much better because USC is better? Because we've always been dying for another USC to pop up. Does that make the sport better?
I mean, that's just an easy yes, in my opinion.
I think it's a yes, but there's also the thing you have to take into account. You want the parity. Like, say the college football playoff this year was going to be Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson. There's no parity in that. Those are usually the 4 top programs when Georgia is what they were this year. I think we want parity, but we want parity that actually has a chance. Like Cincinnati, the definition of parity, group of 5 team made the playoff. No chance. Like everyone went into that game knowing Alabama's going to beat them by 20 plus. Michigan, we knew that they were a good team. Few people picked them, but at the end of the day, it's not a good matchup for them. So if USC can actually be a contender and say, you know what, we can actually win this national championship, of course. I think you can say that for almost any team.
So then let's circle back a little bit. When LSU won the title in 2019, they were a different team. They were a team that is obviously very high profile. It feels like that there's a headline on them every week. Was college football better when they won it all? Because That was the first.
Yes.
Yes.
I
And
think it's
Joe Burrow.
pretty definitive. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a definitive yes. So I don't know. It kind of is hard. How about this? Let's argue it this way. The conference is better when there's parity, such as Michigan going as far as they did. College football as a brand is better when a bit of an outlier team does make it all the way. Can that be a bit more? Can that be a bit more of a degree?
College football's just better when other teams get the opportunity to finally succeed at a high level. Like, it doesn't matter if it's Michigan or Michigan State or Rutgers, whoever it be, getting the opportunity to win at the highest level makes the sport all the better.
It's why the public loved Purdue, because they took down Michigan State and they took down Iowa when Iowa was second and Michigan State was also top 5. It's like we all called them the spoiler makers. We love when those, no offense to Purdue, they're a lower, not low tier program, but they're lower than the Michigan States. We love seeing them succeed. We love seeing them knock off the top teams in the country. If that wasn't the case, then why would we love the seasons like this past year, 2007, so much? So I think that's definitely the case.
All right, we're going to go to the next thing on the wheel.
Yeah,
right,
spin one more time.
Spin it. Here we go. What's it going to land on? Ooh, least favorite network to watch college football. Ooh, this is a tough one. Actually, you know what? This isn't a tough one at all. But
yeah, I think we're all going to I think the Big Ten people are going to have a very similar answer to this.
Are we? Because, okay.
I mean,
I want to say mine first because I don't know if mine counts. NBC.
No, that's really only.
That's just Notre Dame. That
should count.
But that's not watching college football. That's watching Notre Dame.
Still another team playing. I know it's a Notre Dame-ish like kind of thing, but like
I'll try and think broader scale. But the fact that NBC tried to lock, I think it was Toledo. Was it Toledo or Akron? It was one of those two teams playing against Notre Dame. They locked it on Peacock. I mean, just why?
That was brutal.
If one of you wants to jump in, I'm still thinking because this is actually a tough question for me.
I can honestly say wholeheartedly, I spoke a little bit on this before we even came on recording. I was dissing Matt Millen a little bit, so whenever I have to turn on the Big Ten network to watch a Wisconsin game and I hear Matt Millen's voice, like if Wisconsin's playing a team like Rutgers or Illinois, a team that's always not that good, Matt Millen is just, you only have to listen to him talk for 5 minutes to understand why the Detroit Lions fell as bad as they did whenever he was managing the team. I mean, the dude is boring. He doesn't present it exciting. His analysis is horrible. I feel like he doesn't know how to pronounce names. He's just bad. Like, I absolutely hate watching on the Big Ten network. And I don't know the whole details of it, but I'm pretty sure the Big Ten network is actually owned by Fox. And that kind of goes to another point of Big Noon Kickoff needs to die. I mean,
thank you.
Guys, there's no.
Who cares?
Wisconsin Penn State had zero reason. Opening the season, Wisconsin Penn State had zero reason to be an 11 o'clock Central kickoff time, 11 o'clock local time in Madison. Okay. I went on a really heavy, for those that were part of the Shahan J. Araja episode back in like September, when Wisconsin and Notre Dame played on Big Noon Kickoff in Chicago, I was PDFO'd. I'm sorry, guys. I gave up cursing for Lent, so I'm not going full cursing here, but that is just so unfair. Like, Big Noon Kickoff at Soldier Field in Chicago, like, you're asking people in Madison and South Bend to drive 2 hours to go to Chicago, like. And also Nebraska, Oklahoma. Look, I know we weren't big on Nebraska. That should not have been a Big Noon Kickoff. I'm sure there are way more examples we could have gone off of, but I'm sorry, but like whenever you make a kickoff at noon, 11 Central, whatever the case may be, it doesn't make the game feel as big anymore.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, sticking and trapping Gus Johnson on Big Noon Kickoff, probably the most iconic commentator in the sport. Having him on 9 a.m. local for me, kickoffs every single week is pretty bad in my opinion. Like you're trapping him on, it could be a decent Big Ten game, right? And then later on Fox are just a significantly better Big 12 or Pac-12 game, and we don't get to hear Gus call the much better game. Instead, he's calling 13 run plays in a row, and maybe there's a fumble in there that he gets hyped up for. Like trapping him on Big Noon Kickoff over and over and over again is disgraceful to the sport.
So this is a tweet that, this is a tweet that I sent out on September 20th of 2021. And I think I said this in reference to the Wisconsin Notre Dame kickoff time. I said Big Noon kickoff should only be a thing if a night slate is overwhelmed. The fact that 2 ranked matchups this weekend are both kickoffs by 3 p.m. Central is a joke. And I remember this weekend very specifically. This had Wisconsin, Notre Dame, a ranked matchup, 11 a.m. Central, and Texas A&M and Arkansas was the other ranked game, and that one was a 2:30 Central Time in Dallas. There was no other ranked matchups. There was no other ranked matchups going on in the night slate that day.
Yeah, Big Noon Kickoff is essentially when there's a program that I don't know. It's like they're not going to the biggest game because obviously that's College Game Day. But it's like, first off, the talent is like, okay, Bob Stoops, great. Reggie Bush, okay. The rest of them, like, I'm not going to change the channel. Like, I'm not going to watch them over College Game Day. I'm not going to watch them over Barstools if that's in the morning. I don't know. They aren't very good on their morning kickoff. They're not even top 2. But for least favorite network, yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, it kind of has to be Big Ten Network just because of every point you made. It's just boring. Also, I don't like who's the reporter, not the reporter, but the commentator who does like the 11 o'clock games.
I don't even know.
I can't remember.
I got to be honest with you. Like, I know we make jokes about Big Ten West all the time about like how Big Ten West matchups are essentially your snooze button for your alarm clock. I'm sorry, but Big Ten West games at 11 a.m. Central on the Big Ten Network, that is your snooze alarm clock. Plus, the TV is literally showing you sheeps jumping the fence at the same time.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, oh my gosh, oh no, I'm missing Minnesota Northwestern to any non-Minnesota Northwestern fan. Like, who cares? I don't know. I wish that Big Ten just committed more to their commentating.
I'm like, here's the thing. Like, it's not just in football too. I feel like sometimes even when I watch a Big Ten Network game in basketball, like, it's, how do I put this? Like, I just don't think the Big Ten Network, I don't think they put in any effort to make the game feel more exciting. It's literally just like they open up the curtains. Here's the game, and we're not going to do anything. We're not going to add any quality music. We're not going to give you good commentators. We're not going to give you, consistent sideline reporting. There's just nothing about watching a game on the Big Ten Network that makes me want to watch a game on the Big Ten Network. At least when you watch an SEC game on CBS, guess what? The da 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 da. And I would play that song from YouTube on my phone, but copyright, I'm not trying to get in trouble for that. But that gets somebody excited like right off the bat. At least like whenever you watch a game on Fox, at least they do have a nice intro to the game. And the da 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 like on ESPN, that's enjoyable to listen to. Big Ten Network, we're not given anything to be excited about.
With Fox is da 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 like da da da. Da, 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 and it all in the background. It's Gus Johnson calling an Indiana game because he got stuck with that.
Andrew, do you have barbecue sauce there? Back there?
Which Andrew?
What?
Oh.
You got barbecue back there and you didn't invite me? Hurt
my feelings.
Well, if you wanted the West Coast dudes, perception of the least favorite network is far and away Big Ten Network. It is so bad for everything that you guys said. It is probably the most boring thing possible. And I'm glad that Andrew D brought up basketball too. It is an absolute atrocity to watch. I think it's far and away the least enthusiastic I've ever seen people broadcasting a game.
Now, I do want to give a slight shout out because I know that if Dylan watches and listens to this, he's going to say something very similar. He'll bring something up. He's going to mention that the Pac-12 network is by far the worst network out there. And truth be told, I'm actually not going to disagree. And the reason why I'm not going to disagree is because I guarantee you the Pac-12 network is so bad that there's a reason why it's not on Sports Plus packages whenever you sign up with a TV provider.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I couldn't answer that because I can't watch it. I don't have it.
Like, literally, I think anybody that specifically lives on the West Coast, like if you live in California, Oregon, Washington, and you're listening to this, tell us why the Pac-12 network is so bad, because it's obviously so bad that the casual college football fan can't even get it added.
Yeah, I like there's an abundance of people on the West Coast like me that are in Nevada, California, Washington, Oregon, whatever it be, that can't watch this network. So I think they have good people like Yogi Roth, who we had on, is fantastic. He does great work for Pac-12 Network. They have other people that do a really good job. It's just 95% of this country can't even watch this network. And I mean, like, that's all that needs to be said. If we can't watch a network on a week-to-week basis, how can we evaluate if it's a good network or not?
The only time most of the public can watch a Pac-12 game is if it's like UCLA on Fox, USC on Fox when they're good. I mean, the only time I can remember watching is UCLA, LSU, and if it was like Pac-12 After Dark. That's it. Nothing else. I couldn't watch Minnesota, Colorado.
I will say this, for those that paid attention to the reworked TV deals about how much more money the SEC and the Big Ten are going to make over the next 5 years or so. I think, I recall correctly, I think the ACC was last, but I think the Pac-12 was second to last. And I think it's a good reason for it too, because, when it comes to Pac-12, we typically only think of Oregon and the occasional Washington team that's very good. Then again, after last season, no. And the hopes that USC is going to be great. Okay, that's kind of really what the Pac-12 is living off of. Heck, even Utah, for the run that Utah made, especially in the second half of last season, it almost felt like it was under the radar just because I feel like the Pac-12 as a whole does a terrible job of promoting their best teams. It's sort of like, hey, It's Oregon, USC, that's it. I feel like we don't get told about the Utahs enough. We don't get told about, kind of already said it, Arizona State, maybe, Washington, maybe. I just think the Pac-12 does an absolute, they're among the worst in terms of marketing across the country.
Yeah, they're horrendous at it. Utah really didn't pick up any steam until it felt like they beat that they were playing Oregon late in the year and then knocked them off twice, right? It didn't feel like the entire year Utah was getting the respect that they deserved after a slow start. They really put things together and got going. You're completely right that the narrative around the Pac-12 will consistently be Oregon and their flashiness and how they're going to do, right? And then, is SC returning? Are they back? And that's it. And then it's okay, well, we'll pick out some sleeper teams and we'll talk about them on national media and we'll kind of just act like we actually have a feel for this thing.
I feel like, and I go back to a little bit on the Utah about how you're saying about how they didn't really get the net recognition until they beat Oregon twice. It also feels like on a national spectrum, nobody really knew or cared about Utah until it was if Utah beats Oregon again in the Pac-12 championship game, they're just going to be in the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah,
that feels like the turn on switch for most people when Utah finally came up.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I think another thing that the Pac-12 does bad is, and just West Coast football in general now, is the Pac-12 and the Mountain West wanting to push local time kickoffs of 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. So you're talking
Arizona
about,
State tried that, and it was horrible.
yeah, the Mountain West. There was San Diego State hosted a game at 9 a.m. local time. I believe it was against Boise State. Could be wrong. If I'm not tripping as well, the Mountain West championship game was at like a 9 a.m. local kickoff or 9:30 or 10 or something awful. Like we're talking about big noon kickoff being like too early and premature and all that. Having West Coast games, having guys like having college kids play games at 9 a.m. like that's ludicrous.
I will say that something that I found kind of interesting the other day. It feels like golf and tennis are the only major sports where it's acceptable for them to play as early as they do. And the occasional like Maui Invitational, when they play like whatever time they do.
I'd say the thing with tennis is they're going worldwide, so they can't
control
the time for everything. I mean, to be fair, they've had some tournaments where they will start on US time, even though they may be in a different country, but especially for like the Wimbledon, that those finals start so early.
Also, another thing, we somewhat spoofed a little bit about it earlier, like before we started the whole wheel thing. Even Formula One is like worldwide. I mean, their next Grand Prix, I think, is Australia, which is the week after next weekend. They're starting their race at midnight Central Time here in the U.S.
Yep.
And I think watching. I probably will too. And when they opened up the Grand Prix in Bahrain, I think that was, it was like 10 p.m. like Bahrain time. I think it was.
It was definitely close to that.
And they're actually coming to Miami in a couple, like next month, I think it is.
Yeah.
And they're starting that race at 2:30 in the afternoon, at 3:30 Miami time. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you're trying to adapt as much as possible to like other countries, but like a big event, 3:30, like Central Time, like what local time, like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I feel like they should be starting a little bit later than that.
Like 7:30, 8, or like when like make it like a Vice themes of like, perfect Miami sunset. Like that's when we should start it.
Start it as it's going to dusk, and then end of the race. It's nighttime. You get the fireworks. Would be a beautiful scene. I don't know why you're starting that early, especially as the sun is starting to set a little bit later. So F1, fix your stuff. Don't know how we started talking about F1 as a college football podcast.
I'm lost.
It's British people. British people are the ones that are going to get mad if they adapt to American time. They get mad at everything, especially when it comes to soccer fandom in the United States.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Oh, man. MLS. Good league. Good fans. The product, though.
Hey, shout out Hector Herrera, Mexican international goal coming to Houston Dynamo. It's about time that we got a Mexican in here.
He's from my Minnesota United scarf. I don't know where that came from, but you know what? Anything can happen on the Transfer Portal podcast. Did we want to talk about that last topic we talked about before?
Yes.
Let's do
All
it.
right. We've got one more topic. It's not on the wheel, so I am going to take away the wheel. There it is. Boom. Oh, yeah, you're recording. I got scared for a second. But we've got one more topic, and it is, if there was one person in college football, whether it's a personality in the media, a coach, we're not going to do players because we're not classless. Just anybody that you want to, give a little slap to. Who would it be? Liam, let's start with you on this one.
Urban Meyer, and that's pretty much all I want to say. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think.
You know what? Not a bad answer. Pretty good answer, to be honest. Andrew, what do you got?
Shout out Colin Wilder, the now former Wisconsin safety that we had on for an interview last December, for telling us that when he was playing in Houston for the Cougars, he was him and his teammates were preparing for a game against Memphis, and they were watching the TV, as UH was playing a game as they were getting ready for Memphis. And an ESPN headline said, Tom Herman to LSU, which obviously did not happen. The next day, it was Tom Herman to Texas. So guess what, Tom Herman? You ruined something special in Houston. You went to Texas. You kind of somewhat destroyed the program. You kind of left the program in ruins. You're now only as an analyst for the Chicago Bears. You have destroyed yourself. You have destroyed your reputation. You may as well just destroyed your career. You deserve about a smack in the face for making this dumbest decision that a person should have made. You cared about your money. You cared about your wallet, and you have destroyed your legacy in the progress.
I would say going from the Houston Cougars to the Chicago Bears is actually a downgrade because of how bad Chicago is. I got 2, and one of them's going to kind of sound messed up. But the first one, I'll go Kirk Ferentz. I hate you. Your offense that you always put out is disgraceful. It's a disgrace to football. It's disgusting. It's all the bad adjectives you can think of. And also, I just hate Iowa. The next one, this one's going to sound weird, especially for what happened. Jerry Kill. Why do you think you're the villain? Oh, look,
I
understand.
don't have anything against Jerry, man. Like the dude, look, he was a former Minnesota. At least he's a respectable human being.
No, that's all fine. Glad he's okay after what happened. But why do you think you're the villain? Why do you think when you come back, people are going to boo you? When he comes back with New Mexico State, why do you think we're going to boo you?
Because of this.
What do you mean?
What you're saying?
What do you mean? Why does he think he's the villain? It's just weird that he made some sort of a statement about New Mexico State when he comes back. Oh, he's expecting boos. Why would we boo you? What you were a good coach for us. Stuff happened that we wish didn't happen. Why do you think that we would boo you? We're probably going to cheer. I don't know why he thinks everything about us is going to be negative towards him.
Well, now he really thinks you're going to boo him now.
No, why? I'm still thinking, why does? We probably will now, but I don't know why he made that statement.
I don't know. I've always viewed him as a person with a really corny personality, to be honest.
Oh yeah, he definitely. But in Minnesota, you get away with that. So, yeah, it's a weird person to say because of stuff that's happened. But I'm making this claim off of one thing that he said, not his entire coaching career, because I'm not a messed up human being. But yeah, I don't know why he thinks we're gonna boo him. I don't know what in his mind thinks that happened to us makes him think that we have negative thoughts about him.
See, that doesn't cause for a smack across the face. That causes more of a sit down and let's talk about this.
If that's the thing, that's not as funny. I could sit so many people down and ask, what the
fact that you find it funny about slapping a man across the face who's had health issues, like major health issues, to the point where he's had to be in an ambulance during a football game. Come on, man. You're making yourself look worse and worse with this.
Okay. You know what? Forget I said anything. You know what? Kirk Ferentz, you suck. And on that bombshell, I think we're going to end it because Liam said Chip Kelly, or not Chip Kelly. I can't talk anymore. Andrew, you
I said Urban Meyer, you coward.
All right, guys. I think Andrew Wilson is having a bit of a. I was about to mention something with Jerry Kill, but
this is very comparable. This is very comparable to him after he lost to Bowling Green.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Week one, Blutman. Week 1.
I'm ready. I'm ready for Bowling Green. It's going to feel really good to be such
we said we were ready for Bowling Green.
You were not ready.
We said we
were.
I
guess for those that have listened to all this buffoonery, I would like to say thank you for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment to the podcast, to the YouTube channel, our Instagram. We're posting good content on Instagram. Make sure you keep on tabs on all of our tweets as we're continuing with the Electric Players Bracket. Make sure you follow Andrew Wilson at AndrewsterMN_, Liam Blutman 27. Thought so. And myself at Latino_chill. And you guys have yourselves a great rest of your week.